Добрый вечер. Продолжаем игру Vampir. В прошлой катке мы остановились в больнице. Сейчас начинаем продолжать играть. Кто смотрит, подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте лайки. Если понравится, значит я делаю все правильно. Спасибо всем за внимание. Так, мы у себя в офисе. Так, что у нас тут? Еще не осмотрели здесь. Что написано доктора Суонси. Джонатан, я попросил себя закрыть для вас кабинет на этаже. Так. Что у нас тут? Блин, а как же ж выбрать это все? А, это ее надо. Пойду. Это чего? Так, штучки. Денежка, всякая фигня. Что-то лежит, не берется. Я его вижу, значит он не вампир. Отражается. На самом деле он вампир. Статья об эконах. Это редкая возможность даже привилегия облизываться вампирами, наблюдая за их физиологическими и психологическими особенностями научной. Так, а почему? Научной. С точки зрения вот способа 10 лет в ходе общения с вампирами или эконами. Как они себя называют? Эконами. Эконами. Да, ключ. Сейчас. Так. Про это, ага, для... Ага, это... Сейчас, ладно, разобрать.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Вода будет. Исследовать. Сыворотка. Моментально восстанавливает 300 единиц здоровья. Затем 50 и за 5 секунд. Интересная штучка. Сейчас обычной рукоятки. Полупустая бутылка дешевого джина. Это предмет можно разобрать на запчасти. Ничего не разбивается. По нулям. Жить.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Столько времени. Почему? Спать, что ли? Давай поспим. Так, у нас 125 единиц опыта, 5 уровень. Блин. Самая наука. Господи, что мы ничего не можем. Тысяча. Тут и 1000. Сильный укус. Быстрое восстановление. Ладно, спать. Все, что ли? Поспал. Во-первых, оставляет циркуляцию крови жертвы, делая ее беззащитной. Лечь убить то, что не ясно. Это что? Вампиры, которые не любят стирать одежду от крови, ценят навык. Это кровавый навык защищает вампира от прямого урона. Жалел, он не мешает врагам хватать вампиров. Понятно. Чем грязнее, тем сильнее, да. Задание спать. Навык 5 часа навык. Понятно. Ладно, пошаримся по больнице. Поищем лут. Так, тут тоже. Блин, как бы не заблудиться. Но я на верхнем этаже еще не был. Ага, закрыто. Ну, карте. Задание покажет звук. Тоже ничего. Тут наверху. Закрыто. Спустимся. Такая бутылочка. Так. Привет, чудачок.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here.
You guessed right, Doctor.
Ой, а что я ему сделал? А типа, пустить. Я не на то нажал. Что тебе страшно? Давай поговорим. Оп, кто лежит?
Damn. The pain. It's here again. Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues.
Оно сейчас... Нет, не могу. Кнопку нажал. О, блядь. А, как здорово.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, so...
What do you mean? You remained perfectly nice and...
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now up.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly...
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of...
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us up.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed.
Why did he abduct?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood.
What is the general situation in the...
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad...
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop?
That's a very strange question, Doctor.
Крест не волшебный амулет. Получается же не на всех срабатывает.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving...
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be true.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually.
You're in good hands here.
Thank you, sir. I believe all...
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Так, а что у нас в заданиях, а? Так. Ага. Вот. Наконец-то я нашел. Так, 45, урон 99. 65, 65. Это двуручная. 40, 50, 65. Сейчас у меня стоит вот это. 5. 10, 20, 15. А в этой руке Старый кол. Ближний будет левой руки. Оглушение. Старая лупера стального блока. Нормально. Теперь я пустые ячейки. Блин, а что так? Подожди. Делать. Ага. Ладно, прожжено. А тут. А, это получается. Она выносливость, здоровье, нормально. Кровь 5 из 100. Сильная ДГш. Ячейку. А, это, наверное. Попробую. Ничего. Что ж такое? Ячейка. Предмет ячейку. Аутофагия. Угу. Расходую свою кровь, чтобы медленно. 1, 2. А тут. Ага. Все, теперь я понял. Разобрался я.
It's locked. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Не хочешь отвечать мне?
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
А ну ты. О, наконец-то.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Doc.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about...
No offense. I was pushing too much.
You were an officer, weren't you?
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just...
Can I ask you precisely why?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me.
You don't seem worried.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry.
Врач, ставший врач. Что-то мне это напоминает.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. Nowadays. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Отлично. Отлично. Ага.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Так. У нас тут валяется что-нибудь ненужное. Ничего. О, девочка, привет.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital.
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well...
You keep calling me mortal. Why?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Покажи зубки.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal?
I'm curious to know who you were before...
No, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries...
Помешанная как-то назад.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what...
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named...
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to...
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from near...
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe...
I cannot...
The staff here are not your enemy.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of them...
I see. Don't worry. These people...
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no man...
Расследование. Значит, мы правильно к ней подошли. Темно. Идем. Так. Правила. Чем мне болеет? Чем мне... Так. Окей. По лекарству. Будем лечить всех.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Куча еще неизвестно. Пойдем. Интересно, что их жизнь зависит от тебя.
It's locked, all right.
Спасибо, что сказал, что закрыто. Блин, отмычки мы можем делать или нет? Потом посмотреть. Так, ничего не.
It's locked.
Интересно. Их открыть. Чего? Нычечки все-таки бывают. Так, значит где-то там. Так, на беспорядке.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be...
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Doctor?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share
Почему-то все, если начинаешь квесты задать личный вопрос, то потом не получается с ними дальше. Нужно поинтересоваться Как дела в Лондоне?
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone.
I know we've never met before.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed.
Что ж выбрать?
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. We're here to save lives. The people...
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity.
Новая подсказка, ладно. Теперь задаем личный вопрос.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a...
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but...
And what exactly is that?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike...
Be careful what you insinuate.
I only want you to admit you used those...
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique...
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you.
It seems you have bad memories of your military.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of you. I am Thoreau Strickland. Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Начинаем слева.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that...
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together? So you believe it's just a question?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am...
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and...
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible...
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours? As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Правильно. Знание — это сила.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare...
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test.
Questions remain about our capacity.
True. Last summer, during the...
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my...
Do you want me to play the error?
Oh, no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to...
I see. Well, give me the address.
Даже интересно по расследованию.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him.
What is it you really want? To save him?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Что такое? И больше народишко. Господи, кто ж там так орёт?
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Подозрительный доктор. Ехидненький. Кто у нас тут? О, тетя в шляпе.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Старушка с ошейником, все туда же. Жизнь в Лондоне. Рассказать о себе или как вас здесь приняли? Нет, давай расскажем.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my...
Are you really that rich? Most of...
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest...
May I ask if you have an occupation?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Феминистка. Однозначно.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not a couple.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure...
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed.
Ну ладно.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
No.
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here.
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to...
That's tempting, Doctor.
Pembroke Hospital may look...
It's not me you have to...
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient...
Not really. Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even...
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful...
I'll let you get some rest, then.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick.
I'm okay.
How painful is your throat?
So painful.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr.
I don't know if a third opinion is needed.
I see.
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Прошла рука.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now.
What about their mother?
If she died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids.
Tell me more about the death of your wife.
1915. I was in the army.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my...
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Ellen didn't bring them with her that night.
I'm sorry for your loss. So
I would like to say that
Tell me about your injury, Harvey.
My wife died because of me.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury.
Of course I didn't hurt myself.
How could your job be...
I was working a double.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Шепчется.
My sweet girl reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Если кто шпионит за Тельмой.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate. It's locked, all right.
Блин, я не успел.
Old medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried. I hope that might help.
Быстрее. Не хочет. Давай поговорим с тобой.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you...
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now...
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they...
Так, что у него есть? Кадеин. Так, опиум. Ха, мы попали к тому, кому нужно. Загадочный рецепт. Пить. Купить есть. Ага, 15. Так. Подожди, куда ты убежал?
Good evening, Doc.
Нет, с ним надо...
Do you work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is what...
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadaver...
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too.
Most people fear, or at least have a... Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face...
How did you get this job? Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir.
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was...
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me, I love...
So you're ready to...
No, I am not. I don't fear death for...
You're a wise man, Mr.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a foolish man.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
As I said, sir, everything decays.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is...
A pawnbroker?
Yes, sir. All...
Так, пойду я...
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe.
I'm very cautious, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana. It's locked.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr.
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and...
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery.
Why do you wish to...
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be...
I really hope you're right about this, Dr. Ackroyd.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his
And are you not afraid?
Rivalry?
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. I never could keep anything from her. Good evening, Miss Hutt.
I need blood, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Этот приводит к следующей.
I met him in New York once.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good...
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Туалете. Это дождь. Ага. Оп. Вот тут. Вау. Нужно атаковать. Тут не разбивает ящик. 25 октября, командный пункт стражи Привена. Тема 10 вампиры больницы изучить, расследовать. 3 дня назад одно из наших рекрутов дошло слово. Некая женщина, вампир, прячется в больнице по Лондону. Нам известно лишь ее имя Эльма. Ваша задача незаметно побраться в больницу, наблюдать за действиями, что указано на кровососов. Сообщите о них нам. Для этого мы решим, что следует. Странно, пока еще вот это берусь. Управление, конечно. Да. Серьезно, Сакира. Своим взглядом еще. Так, она. Что там было? Убивается. Выяснили, кто подсматривал, следил. Здесь уже не действует. Кто у нас? Как это кто? Добраться до него. Так. О, кто так? Боже, крики такие. Что такое? Вот это он меня замочил. 18 уровень. Я 5-й. Тяжелый. Могут убить. Я значит не буду ходить. Собираю. Еще убьют сейчас. Открывает ее. Шли. Что, и все, больше ничего нет? Это было. Надеюсь. Мне тут делать пока нечего. Сюрприз. Ладно, пока это нам не даст. Я еще с вами. Мест нет. Понятно. Бабло берем.
You always knew the... Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Doc.
Tell me about the doctors who are... What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with
Are you satisfied?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be...
I won't lie to you about it.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem...
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, Tell me about yourself.
I'm just a regular...
I was more curious...
I'm a carpenter. And a good one, too.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you...
Надо идти спать.
Down, my boy.
Почему-то у нас нет. Надо поспать. Пойдем поспим. Я уже забыл, где наша комната. Это здесь.
It's locked, all right. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Так, изготовление предметов. Материал для улучшения оружия. Понятно. Ага, вот. Да уж, лечит типа. А это лечит получение. Поглощать кровь или урон. часть обычной катки надо 3 штуки. Ладно, хорошо. Пойдем спать. А как спать?
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
I'm not one to make wait, Doctor. I've patients to attend.
Ладно, ребята, наверное, на этом все. Закончил. Будет продолжение дальше. А так, если понравилось, кому ставлю лайки, подписываемся. До свидания.